Where are we?
We are currently in flight in the Kylo YZYD 3213 star system, orbiting the planet named 9A. The security level and controlling faction for this location are not available in my data.
Are there any interesting signals in the star system?
The system contains geological signals on bodies named 1, 2, 3, 4, 7A, 7CA, and the Kylo YZYD 3213 locations. Several planets host biological signals, including 9A, 9B, 9C, and the Kylo YZYD 3213 sites. No mining hotspots or conflict zones were detected in this area.
Do we have any planets in the star system that we have not scanned biological forms yet?
We have one planet in this star system, with biological forms remaining planet 9B.
How far are we from our fleet carrier right now?
(22,612 light years). Carrier fuel required 4,522 tons. Travel time 15 hours and 4 minutes by fleet carrier.
No, that would be the distance to the bubble. How about the distance from us to the fleet carrier? How far away from our fleet carrier?
Distance is 1,182 light years. It will take 16 jumps to get there.
Access fleet carrier statistics. Tell me how long can we operate and how far can our carrier travel considering all the fuels we have in the reserve.
We can operate for 63 weeks at our current balance. Our carrier can travel a maximum range of 87,000 light years with all available fuel, including the reserve.
Set optimal approach speed, please.
Yes, Count. Surface scan complete. Efficiency target met. Serendipite, Alexandrite, Benitoid, and monazite signals detected. Converging, 121 meters, bearing 267 degrees. Surface recon vehicle is far enough to take the new
CMDR's
sample.
Enthemat says how goes the dev grind. Looks like it's doing really well since
Converging,
last time I could
52
check
meters,
in on your
bearing
streams.
283 degrees. Prefix your calls with Word Computer.
Yes, I have revamped the user interface, as you can see. It is all much cleaner now, at least to my taste. The app is running completely offline at the moment, and I'm testing different models that you can use with Olama. Right now I am testing qwen3.5 9 billion parameters that I can run with my hardware because I only have one machine. It also works with Tulu 3, that's 8 billion parameters, and of course the bigger your LLM is, the better stuff is going to be. I have added an overlay for the OBS that you can toggle over here. I have completely removed speech-to-text recognition powered by Google because it's not necessary anymore. It comes with a built-in speech-to-text recognition, and it comes with a built-in vocalization thing powered by Kokoro. There are, like, was it 8 or 11 voices you can choose from. You can set them all as just set voice to and voice name, or ask it a list available voices. You can still use Cloud. I added Anthropic Claude, so you can use Claude, ChatGPT, and Grok if you want. Or you can use qwen2.5, qwen3.5.9b, or higher. You can use Tulu. I have updated Wiki. Oh, and then now there is an installer for Windows. So this is a version 3.01 beta, which will be published tonight. I'm doing some final testing on it. Of course, it's still beta, so expect some problems with it. It's not absolutely perfect, but it is getting better. So now it's much easier for people to just install it, point it to an LLM, and go. And you can run it completely offline. You can also point it if you have a second machine that runs your LLMs. You can specify the address. Did my microphone just dipped? Yeah, you can specify the address of the LLM running on your local area network, the port that it's running on, and the endpoint. I don't know if it works with anything that isn't Olama, because I have not tried it with anything that isn't Olama. Then there's this change. It's a speech speed you can set, and the beep volume. So you can set the beep volumes completely to 0 and not hear any beeps. Beeps indicate that we sent something to process for the LLM and that we got a response, kind of like a user feedback. And you can mix and match. So for example, if you don't have enough hardware to run local LLM, you can point it to, say, Claude or Grok, for example. So you would put a key in here, and then you can toggle these two checkboxes, and it's not going to be using them. Or you want to use, for example, local LLM, but you don't want a Kokoro speech-to-text, you want Google speech-to-text, you will be paying for it, of course. But then you will uncheck this checkbox, and it will be using, if you have a key, it will be using a Google text-to-speech. Google text-to-speech still has like 14 voices. What else? I have completely revamped how the pipeline for the LLM back and forward, and I introduced some new features that allow you to navigate inside the vehicle or inside your ship. You navigate to a specific panel.
I am listening.
Show storage.
Yes, account.
Show transactions.
Of course, my lord.
Show local map.
CMDR's Enthemad says, holy hell. That rocks. I mean, I rock
By the way,
Linux like a
Commander.
real gamer, but this is incredible work.
Prefix your calls with word imputer.
Thank you for the praise. So the entry barrier to use this application has been lowered significantly now. So Windows installer, download, click, 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 next. Installing Alama is easy. You go to alama.com, and there is an instruction how to do it. You install it on Windows or Linux, it runs in your system tray. The only thing you would need to do is open command line terminal and type Olama pool, and then name of the LLM that you want to pull, and that's basically it. You're Gucci, you're good to go. There is also a write-up on how to tune it, tweak it. It explains all the parameters on what they do and don't do and how to set them up. So if you want to, or how to quantize your model. What's quantization? So model comes with, basically it's a bunch of numbers. And quantization is like taking a very high resolution JPEG and reducing the resolution of it, meaning it will use less memory on your GPU. So for example, you want to use, I don't know, qwen3.5 14b, but your GPU can't pull it. So you can lobotomize it. It will reduce the quality of it, but it will also reduce the amount of memory your GPU uses to run it. If you have two GPUs, there's instructions on how to tell Alama run on the second GPU and a game on the first. That way they're not stepping on each other. But I don't have two GPUs, I only have one. And the 9 billion parameters seems to be okay. The qwen3.5 has some quirks in it. You will notice it doesn't always understand me correctly. Plus I speak with a nasty accent, so the speech-to-text sometimes barfs. I separated the user input, AI input, and the system. Here, this is really for debugging. For me, you can just kind of close it like this and not look at it. Although you won't be looking at it anyway. The overlay that you see on the stream, that's just OBS overlay. I do not see it when I play. When I play, I only see the game UI and nothing else. So this is the changes. This is a wake word. Right now it's checked, so it's unless I say very specific word, it will completely ignore me. And since this is local speech to text, it's not sending it anywhere to the cloud. No one is spying on me. It doesn't matter if it processes my voice or not. The voice processing and speech to text processing is not running on your GPU. It is running on your processor, so it's not digging into your frame rate. And I also, after redesigning this interface, I also saved on memory, because before it was just basically a giant text field and all the text being added to it so that eats up your memory the longer you use. Now, when the line gets to the top of the window, the panel on which it is displayed is recycled to the back of it. So it will consume as much memory to fill in what you see on the screen. And after that, it is not going to consume any more memory. It's just going to recycle the next panel, next panel, next panel. What else? A bunch of internal refactoring that users don't really give a shit about. It's technical stuff. Prettifying the code and whatnot. So now I'm putting this thing through its paces. And I will release it tonight when servers go down. When Frontier Development closes the game for the weekly recalculation of the background simulation. No one will be playing at that time, and I will push a new update. Oh yeah, and there is an updater too. So when you start the game, or when you start the services, it goes to my GitHub and reads whatever the latest version is. So latest version on the GitHub right now is 3.0.0. This is a 3.0.1. It will tell you that there's an update available, and there is this button will say update available. If you push on it, this window will disappear. Another window will appear. It will download the update, unpack it, and start the new version and close the update window. So updating is super easy, and it works on Windows and Linux the same way. One of the testers, Don Trader, super many thanks to him for testing Windows installation and Windows updates. So this is where the project is at right now. It's still not a full release, it's still beta, but it is improving.
Conjast sample logged.
Computer, navigate to the matching biosample, please.
Certainly, my lord. Heading to Conjast labiata gray sample, 366 meters, bearing 266 degrees.
Computer, list available voices.
Converging, 279 meters, bearing 262 degrees. Sorry, I couldn't reach LLM. Distance from previous colony allows collection of next sample.
That is the quarks
Converging, 213 meters, bearing 267 degrees.
of the qwen3.5. The Tulu 3 and qwen2.5 doesn't do that. But
Converging, 189
qwen3.5
meters,
barfs
bearing
sometimes.
284 degrees.
So I wouldn't recommend it just yet. I would recommend Tulu 3 8 billion parameters for
Diverging,
GPUs.
171 meters, bearing 303 degrees. Converging 124 meters, bearing 310 degrees.
Computer, turn off the wake word, please.
Aye aye, Krondor, I am listening. Conchas sample logged. Conchas scans complete.
Navigate to the next codex entry.
Aye aye, my lord, heading to Fruitexa accused green sample. 121 meters, bearing 42 degrees. Diverging 200 meters, bearing 57 degrees. Converging 132 meters, bearing 61 degrees.
You can cancel the navigation, I have a visual now.
Arrived, bearing 38 degrees. Certainly, Krondor. Navigation guidance off.
Do we have a trade profile configured for this ship?
LLM returned malformed response. Analysis failed check logs. Fruitexa accused sample detected. First sample out of 3 required. Maintain 150 meters between samples.
Yeah, as you see, the LLM call just completely failed. So qwen3 will require some massaging to do. Let's switch to 238. Hopefully it will offload the old one and load the new one.
Voice input enabled. Good afternoon, Krondor. Connecting to LLM. Connection established successfully.
Do we have a trade profile configured for this ship?
The trade profile is configured. Starting budget is 250 million credits. Maximum distance to a station from the arrival star is 6,000 light seconds, and we are allowed to visit enemy power play strongholds.
Okay, take me to the next organic, please.
Of course, Krondor. Heading to Fruitexa accused green sample. 184 meters, bearing 101 degrees. Converging 192 meters, bearing 85 degrees. Converging 103 meters, bearing 103 degrees. Distance from previous colony is sufficient to take next sample. Arrived, bearing 129 degrees. Fruitexa sample logged.
Navigate to the next matching codex entry, please.
Right away, Krondor. Heading to Fruitexa accused green sample. 961 meters, bearing 271 degrees. Converging 939 meters, bearing 273 degrees. Converging 854 meters, bearing 275 degrees. Converging 785 meters, bearing 272 degrees. Converging 665 meters, bearing 270 degrees. Distance from previous colony is sufficient to take next sample. Converging 591 meters, bearing 268 degrees. Converging 477 meters, bearing 265 degrees. Converging 349 meters, bearing 255 degrees. Converging 216 meters, bearing 265 degrees. Converging 124 meters, bearing 269 degrees. Arrived, bearing 292 degrees. Fruit sample logged. Fruit scans completed.
Let's go.
Aye, aye, my lord. Jumping to impl HWDD 12-2015. Fuel is available. Preparing for FTL.
$725 Sai says, I see you booted qwen3.5. Great.
Route to GE Star at impl HWDD 12-2015. Scuba for fuel.
Wake word on, please.
Affirmative, my lord. Prefix your calls with word imputer.
Yes, trying different LLMs, the 238, the qwen3.5, and
2717. Star class.
qwen3.5.
We have 13 jumps left to this nation.
I still have some kinks to work out with qwen3.5. It interprets the JSON differently, or rather, sometimes it fails to construct JSON correctly on the way back, even though it is provided with like a template and instruction and everything. It's not quantized version. Computer, jump to the next waypoint.
Affirmative, Crondor. Jumping to impl DQFD 11.
This version drops tonight when FDev servers go offline, and there's a lot of changes to the user interface. There are some tuning and tweaking for the voice recognition.
The Star class system.
I have revamped the LLM pipeline, pretty much the whole thing. I simplified it, really. Tested it with the cloud version, with the cloud LLMs, and with these three.
impl DQFD 11 2717. Next waypoint.
Plus, there's now an OBS OBS overlay, the one that you see in the upper left corner on your screen. I don't see it, you see it. I only see the game. But the app itself now looks like this. And Google speech-to-text is completely gone, no longer using it. This is, right now everything is offline, in fact. I'm running Tulu, let me load up the qwen. Oh, llama list. Okay, so that's qwen3.5.
$725 Sai says, so cool. Thank you for the hard work.
You are welcome. If you are using it, let me know what kind of gotchas you find. This version 0301 will be available online, will be available for update tonight when servers are down. So let's try qwen.
Voice input enabled. Good evening, Krondor. Connecting to LLM. Connection established.
And let's go to the next waypoint. Of course it's not going to hear me because I have a wake word on. And the response is actually much faster when I'm not streaming, because the GPU is used up by OBS.
I am listening.
Now
Certainly.
let's go to the next
I am
waypoint,
listening.
please.
Yes, Krondor. Jumping to ELPRU YJHD10 1192. Fuel available. Preparing for FTL. En route to ELPRU YJHD10 1192. Star Class A. Scoopable for fuel. Arrive at ELPRU YJHD10 1192. Next waypoint ELPRU YJHD10 1845. Star Class F. Fuel available. We have 11 jumps left to destination.
Are there any interesting signals in the star system?
Biological signals are not detected in the star system. Geological signals are found on planets BC2, BC3, BC1b, and BC1c, as well as on rings BC2b ring, BC3b ring, a 4b ring, and a 3a ring. Mining hotspots include serendipite, alexandrite, benitoite, muscovite, and monazite across various bodies and rings. Conflict zones and resource sites are not currently detected here.
Show storage.
Of course, Krondor.
Show transactions.
Of course, count.
Show inbox.
725 Sai says, have you compared
Certainly,
performance
Krondor.
difference between Allama and llama.cpp? Is there any notable difference?
Exit.
Right away, Commander.
No, to be honest, I have not. I only ran the LLMs in Allama, so I don't know. I did notice as I was LLM hopping, not Linux distro hopping, but LLM hopping, is that they do behave differently and they do interpret the instructions on how to provide the structured JSON differently, and some of them fail. This one is somewhat iffy. It works like 90% of the time, maybe 95% of the time, and I think I should be able to eventually get the prompts tuned just fine so that it actually fires 99% of the time correctly. But in terms of performance, I don't know. Running this one, the 9B or the Tulu 8B, not quantized, just as is, on my GPU, RTX 3090, 24GB of RAM, without running the integrated development environment, without running the OBS, because OBS is taking my giant screen and shrinks it into 1920 by 1080p using the GPU as well, so it eats up GPU a lot. But if I don't run any other junk, just the game and the thing, it responds a heck of a lot faster than what you're seeing right now on the stream. But I guess I put that on the list of things to check out and see if Llama CPP is better. There are some other LLM services or layers, however we want to call them. I haven't tried. But there might be an alternative that is faster, yes. As the LLM says, no data available.
I am listening.
Alright, let's get out of here.
Aye, Krondor. Jumping to ELPRU, YJHD10 1845. Fuel available at destination. Preparing for FTL. En route to ELPRU, YJHD10 1845. Star Class F, scoopable for hydrogen fuel. Traffic total 1. Arrive at ELPRU, YJHD10 1845. Next waypoint, ELPRU LMSC 18655. Star Class K. Fuel available. We have 10 jumps left to destination.
Do you have a refinery equipped?
No, there's no refinery fitted on the ship.
Do you have any weapons equipped?
Yes, we have beam lasers, drunk missile racks, plasma point defense turrets, and a heatsink launcher fitted in our hardpoints. We also carry cargo racks in a single medium slot.
What is your cargo capacity? Check the loadout.
Our cargo capacity is 16 tons. We are fitted with a Class 5, size 7 fuel scoop. Our loadout includes a Class 5, size 4 cargo rack, beam lasers, and 2 medium drunk missile racks.
Are there any interesting signals in the star system?
No signal have been detected in the star system.
Open local map, please.
Of course, Krondor.
How many landable moons in the star system?
There are 0 landable moons in the system. The data confirms the presence of 1 star, but no planets or moons at all.
Wake word on.
725 Psi says, I think you should try. Llama.cpp is a bit more pain to
Certainly,
configure
Commander.
and not as
Prefix your calls
user-friendly,
with
but
word
there's
review.
minimal overhead, so it should be noticeably faster.
Llama CPP, does it accept the HTTP calls, or is that direct GNI call? Because if it's a direct call to the without the HTTP layer, then I would have to implement that, because it's not implemented. This app talks to LLMs via OpenAPI standard protocol. And it did not detect any landable planets because it doesn't have any data. Even though you see it on the map, it doesn't mean that it's available to the application, because it's just not always published in the JSON unless you do the scanning. So if it would be like a planet in the star system in the populated area, and you would scan the beacon.
725 Psi says that I'm not sure.
Yeah, because if it does not support the over HTTP protocol, then it won't be able to talk to it, because it won't have, it will not have a URL like this. However, if there is a Java API for it, like a JNI, Java Native Invocation, the same shit that I'm using for speech-to-text and text-to-speech, then potentially, and I'm not making any promises, but if that's the case, I could package it with the installer and have the installer do all the nasty configurations, so people don't have to worry about it. I'll have to do it for the Windows installer, and I'll have to hack up the Linux installer.sh script to do it. But then it's not going to do HTTP at all. On the other hand, I would have to have this anyway for people who run LLMs on a separate machine, because there's no other way to communicate. Not that I know of, at least. Because this is the standard communication thing. Now, I could have both. I suppose I could have both and just stick a checkbox in here, use the internal or the use remote. I could do that. But if there is a GNI wrapper for the library that talks to Llama CPP, and if Llama CPP does not support communication over the HTTP protocol, then potentially this app could be turned into a turnkey operation. You just download installer, next, start, navigate to wherever your journal is, navigate to where your bindings are, and you are Gucci. Provided you have enough hardware to run it. So something to research, of course. I mean, if you go back into my streams, I used to say that I wouldn't be able to run this app offline at all. Now I realize just how wrong I was, and I own up to me being wrong. It's running offline, obviously.
I am listening.
And let's go.
Right away, my lord. Hyperspace jump destination is ELPRU LM SC 18655. Fuel available at destination. Preparing for FTL.
Enable wake word.
Sorry, I couldn't reach LM. En route to ELPRU LM SC 18655 Star Class K. Scoopable for fuel.
Enable wake word.
Certainly, Crondor. Prefix your calls with word computer. Arrived at ELPRU LM SC 18655. Next waypoint ELPRU PXKD 81924. Star Class F. Fuel available. We have 9 jumps left to destination.
Okay, the calls are asynchronous. I think my Llama configuration needs a change. I'm probably processing only one response at a time. And if I issue one response and then an event in game happens and it also sends another prompt, so there are 2 prompts going in at the same time, maybe my Llama installation is not processing one of them.
725 Sai says, I guess the final step for this project will be training/distilling your own LLM for the task to minimize the size of the model and increase its speed. Would be cool if LLM was under 2B size.
Yeah, that would be really cool, because it probably doable. The thing is that I don't have the hardware to train LLMs with. LLM training requires a lot of compute, and I'm broke as fuck. You cannot. And the GPU prices, I don't have to tell you what they are right now. So I cannot build me a rig for training it. But theoretically, yeah. Theoretically, you could. The thing is, the initial prompt it's a chicken or the egg. The initial prompt right now uses up about, let's say about 3,000 tokens. And the limit on 8 billion parameter LLMs that I'm using this to is about 8,000 tokens. The thing is, the more features you add,
725 Sai says you have 4,090. Can't say you're broke, hahaha.
This is not 4,090, this is 1,390. And this card is like 3 years old. This is an old card, man. Anyhow, the more features you add, the bigger the command prompt is. Because it has to send, let me show how much it sends. It sends a lot. Because right now you just see me do exploration, but exploration is not the only thing that this app can do. It does all sorts of things. Commands and queries. So this is a map of commands and queries. Everything that you see in the green, these are colloquial terms. Those are all tokens. It's up a lot of tokens. So it would map these colloquial terms to this action. Plus, there is an initial prompt which explains how to interpret this. So this is the do what I mean function, and I have shrunk it as much as I can so that it's still useful, but it counts to about 27% of what the maximum prompt for the LLMs I am using right now. So I have headroom, meaning I can implement more features, I can add more commands, I can add more queries, I have room. If LLM is too small, it cannot accept a large prompt like this, and it cannot infer what it is that you want to do. So it would work for something super simple, like jump to hyperspace and open a panel and drop landing gear, but it would not work for queries. Because there are lots of stuff in here that I am not showing right now because I'm not in a populated area. You can search for material traders, you can do trade routes, you can monetize your current route, you can search for specific commodity, you can search for planets with brain trees that have a specific material on them, you can query your material inventory, you can do routes for the fleet carrier. There's lots of stuff that it can do, and the list is growing. And the more features I add, the bigger the prompt is going to be. I am, in the background, I'm thinking on how to optimize that, maybe with a fuzzy search, so I could limit the number of commands and queries are being sent based on the fuzzy search of the user input, but there is also a danger of not including, because language, in colloquial terms in language, is a quite difficult thing. We express ourselves so differently, and I try to make sure that you don't have to memorize commands. Because if you're memorizing commands, then you might as well use voice attack. Except I don't think you can run voice attack on Linux. But anyway. And this thing's supposed to interpret your intent from what it is that you speak based on what it knows about the language in colloquial terms. So there is a limit on how low can you go.
725 Sai says, I thought the smaller size of the LLM, the more extra RAM you will have for extra context. But there's a trade-off, of course, because LLM gets dumber.
Exactly. It gets dumber, it cannot hold enough context. It doesn't have enough knowledge to interpret the context, so it gets all this data dumped into. It's like, okay, but it is very limited on what it can do. The responses from Qwen that I get, the actual wording, how it words things, is nicer. I don't know how to say it another way. Is nicer than Tulu. Tulu is very matter of fact. It's very robot-like. This one a bit more elaborate, with a temperature of 0.7. Effectively, how much RAM am I using? I think it's
725 Sai says, I understand.
GPU, no, show GPU loads. So the LLM, of course, offloads LLM when you're not using it. So you can pull lots of LLMs in it, but it's only going to use the one that you issue a prompt for. So I'm going to issue a prompt, and it will load. Here we will see the line at the bottom, and I suspect this LLM will take, and it's not lobotomized, I think it will take about 8.5, maybe 9 gigs.
I am listening.
What is our current location?
I am processing the incoming data stream. The file should load at the bottom of the screen, though I expect it to require approximately 8 or 9 gigs of space. I am monitoring the download progress for you now. Prefix your calls with Word Imputer. I am currently flying through the EAL-PRU LM-SC 18655 system, which is under anarchy security conditions.
There we go. So it loaded the itself, and it is taking 8 gig. And my memory situation with the game running and this thing processing, I'm using 17.5 gigabyte out of 24.5 available. So I'm not so low on memory, but it's processing time. Because it's not just memory, it's also the processing time that's required. I instructed Olama to only allocate 12 gigabyte for the models and leave the other 12 gigabyte for whatever else I'm using. The game requires 6 minimum. It likes to grab up to... Well, actually it's using less right now. The game is using less than 6. If you're in a planetary surface or on a station where there's more graphics to process, it will go up to 6.5, 7 sometime. So with Tulu 8 or Tulu 8 Quantize, and I have instructions on how to do it, you can fit on a 12 gigabyte RAM, VRAM, game and the thing. You won't have room for anything else, but you should be able to fit it. It's like the bottom lowest possible setup. Computer, jump to the next waypoint.
Of course, Krendor. Hyperspace jump destination, ELPRU PXKD 81924. Fuel available at destination. Preparing for FTL.
User interface allows you to set LLM for commands and LLM for queries, but when you run on a single GPU everything, you want to use the same LLM for both.
ELPRU PXKD 81924. Star Class F, scoopable for fuel.
Because otherwise you're going to have both models loaded in memory. So if you have a machine with 2 GPUs and you dedicate one for the LLMs and the other for the game, yeah, you can...
ELPRU PXKD 81924. Next waypoint, ELPRU BAWC 1620. Star Class K. Fuel available. We have 8 jumps left to destination.
Then you can load faster LLM for command processing and slower but more elaborate LLM for queries. And see how that works out. You have choice. Computer, jump to the next star system.
Certainly, my lord.
So I'm issuing commands to go to the next
Fuel available at destination.
where we're jumping in different ways, and it understands, it infers that. Same with docking, the actual colloquial terms like request docking, but you can say contact tower, get a parking spot, or get us a landing spot, and it'll understand that. But the dumber LLM will not be able to map colloquial terms. The dumber the LLM, the less it understands, the less freedom you have on how you talk to it. If you wire it into Grok, Grok is absolutely insane in terms of its speed and in terms of what it understands. It hardly ever fails. Claude takes its time. Claude is slow. Claude is about as fast as this LLM right now with the streaming server running. It interprets everything perfectly. It is really good at data analysis, but the responsiveness is as if you're running an LLM. Look at it. Computer, jump to the next waypoint. Didn't hear me. Computer, jump to the next waypoint.
Of course, Krendor.
Yeah, it's very long.
725 Psi says what is the actual requirement for the LLM you need, what it should excel at.
It should excel at A, it needs to know how to accept and return formatted JSON, because some LLMs are trained for chat and they will return, instead of JSON, they will return HTML formatted text, or they will return a markup, which is absolutely hopeless. So it has to be able to format and return data. That's like a hard requirement. If it can't do that, nothing else matters. It wouldn't be able to do anything else. So that's the first one. The second, it needs to know enough English and the way humans speak to map colloquial terms to the actions. And third, follow the analysis prompts, and the prompt is what the prompt looks like. I'll show you what the prompt looks like. Analyze anything, doesn't matter what it is. Analyze something like carrier data, for example. So this is a prompt for the carrier data. When I ask it to tell me something about the fleet carrier, like how much fuel we have, what's the reserve balance, how far can we go, blah blah blah, it receives this instruction and it follows the rules. It has to follow these rules, and then it receives the data. I compress the data in YAML format, so it's a JSON with data wrapped in YAML. Why? Because if you wrap JSON in JSON, you end up with a lot of squigglies and other garbage that eats up tokens.
725 Psi says so. In short, we need a coder model.
Yeah, I suppose. We need a data analysis model. Like, what do they call this qwen3 that I'm using? Does it have a specific name? Where's the browser? Browser. Open new window. Oh, llama. Llama. qwen3.5. So this is the qwen3.5 9B latest. Unified Vision Language Foundation, excellent hybrid architecture, scalable, blah 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 blah. It looks more like a marketing spiel than just saying like, alright, this is...
725 Psi says there are different distills. Try coder specific.
Let's try coder. Qwen coder next. Qwen coder next, 8 billion parameters. So let's llama pool, and it's quantized. Oh, hold on, how big is it? It's 85 gigs quantized. I might not be able to fit it. Can I fit an 85 gigabyte LLM into my 24 gigabyte into my 12 gigabyte room? Probably not. Probably not. Even though it is quantized, it is still big, even though it is quantized. So 358B.
725 Psi says you won't be able to. You need smaller quantization. 725 Psi says haha.
Yeah, and the more you quantize, quantization is like lobotomy, basically. It's like when you take a high resolution picture and you shrink it into a low resolution JPEG. That's effectively is what it is. That's how I cancel that download. But basically, if you try running it with different LLMs, what will happen is if either it will work, or it will give you some kind of cryptic error that unable to parse JSON, or something like completely off the wall. It won't be able to work at all. So every call you do is going to fail with unable to process a request or some shit like that. But honestly, 9 billion parameters or 8 billion parameters, the two that I've tried, when I'm not streaming, are very responsive, very fast.
725 Psi says explore the Hugging Face.
Yeah, there are a lot of LLMs in there. It's just so much to do, so little time, you know. I have to prioritize what I do. Am I going to play with different LLMs and see how many I can support, or do I stick to 2 or 3 that are common and easy to get, easy to install, and focus on the quality of the prompts, stability of the application, and that sort of thing, because it all takes time to develop and to research. But you know, never say never, obviously, because I used to say that I wouldn't be able to run things offline. I used to say that I will not find, or I can't find, a good speech to text. Now I have speech to text, I have decent text to speech locally, no setup required, just run installer. The only thing is really for absolute noobs, the difficult part is downloading Ollama, running installer and running one command one command in the terminal, just one, and that's it, you're good to go. Computer, let's go to the next waypoint. Takes its sweet time because LLM
jump
offloaded.
to the next force point. My
Now,
system
Ollama-
is stabilizing for faster than light travel.
Ollama will offload the LLM if it's not being used after a timeout period. You know, if you keep talking to the thing and it keeps receiving some game events and keeps processing something, it remains in memory and is fast. But if you have period of silence that you're not issuing any prompts, then it will be offloaded, and the next time you issue a prompt, first it has to load into the memory, so you'll have that delay. Computer, how many jumps remain to the final destination?
There are 7 jumps remaining to the final destination. Arrived at ELPRU CPLB 2325. Next waypoint ELPRU JRWF 1126. Star Class AEB. Warning, no fuel available at next stop. We have 7 jumps left to destination.
Computer, let's go.
Aye, counted. Hyperspace jump destination is ELPRU JRWF 1126. No fuel available at destination. Preparing for FTL. En route to ELPRU RCPB 2121. Star Class M. Scoopable for hydrogen fuel. Traffic total is 6. Arrive at ELPRU RC PB 2121. Next waypoint ELPRU EKUB 1815. Star Class M. Fuel available. We have 2 jumps left to destination.
Computer, what signals do you see in the star system?
My sensors have detected no biological or geological signals, mining hotspots, or conflict zones in this system. There are also no points of interest to report.
Computer, wake word off. Turn it off.
Affirmative, Krondor. I am listening.
Turn off the discovery announcements, please.
Right away, my lord. Discovery announcements off.
Open Galaxy map.
Affirmative, my lord. Route set.
Let's go.
Yes, Krondor. Jumping to impl KC-9 fuel available at destination. Preparing for FTL. Route to LLM KC-9 Star Class K, scoopable for fuel. Traffic total 12 ships. Arrived at LLM KC-9 Next waypoint Tur, Star Class K. Fuel available. We have one jump left to destination.
Okay, let's go.
Certainly, my lord. Hyperspace jump destination is Tur. Fuel is available at destination. Preparing for FTL. Routed Tur, Star Class K, scoopable for hydrogen fuel. Traffic total 1,124, weekly 22, daily 3. Deaths total 578, weekly 0, daily 0.
Show navigation.
Arrive at final destination Tur. Certainly, Commander.
Exit.
Of course, Commander. Vessel is dropped from Super Cruise and threat level is 2.
Analyze the signals for this star system, please. Provide a summary.
We have detected biological signals on none of the bodies in this star system. Geological signals were also not detected on any planets here. Mining hotspots and rings show no data within the current sensor range. The system contains 2 points of interest named Bolden's Enterprise and Dolar Depot, along with 1 fleet carrier, 3 nav beacons, 4 carriers, and 4 conflict zones.
Light speed, please.
Yes, Krondor. Preparing for Super Cruise.
Take us home.
Certainly, Count. Route set.
Let's get out of here.
Yes, Krondor. Jumping to LLM KC-90. Fuel available at destination. Preparing for FTL. Route to ELPRU-QC KC90, Star Class G, scoopable for hydrogen fuel. Traffic total 85, weekly 1, daily 0. Deaths total 1, weekly 0, daily 0.
Show navigation, please.
Final destination, ELPRU-QC KC. Aye, aye, my lord.
Set optimal approach speed, please.
Aye, aye, Commander.
Drop.
Yes, my lord. Welcome home to Lone Wolf.
Welcome, Commander. Maintain a conservative speed.
Contact the tower. Get us a parking spot.
Aye, aye, my lord.
Access granted. Commander, you are good to approach the landing pad.
Wake word on, please.
Yes, my lord. Prefix your calls with word imputer.
Alright, so I will need to fix the landing thing because I broke it. I will fix it before I publish this thing tonight, but for tonight's release, I think it looks good to me. I will be releasing now on Thursdays. Sorry about the barrage in the last week with updates, because I had to test installers and the build system on GitHub, and unfortunately on my GitHub account there's just no other way to do it. There is no stage in production for me. I'm not a corporation.
Market data available.
So now I'll be doing updates on Thursday nights, unless there is like some really egregious problem that I miss, and I have to do a hot fix.
725 Sai says thank for putting so much work into this.
You guys are welcome. The only thing I ask back in return, please submit bug reports, feature requests, or just your experience. Say, well, I did this and it didn't do what I expected it to do. Because that input is absolutely invaluable. Otherwise, because the way I play the game, it's the way I play the game, and I don't want to force people to play the game how I do it. That's a big thing for me to not judge anyone. This app does not judge your gameplay.
725 Sai says, I'll try to see some smaller LLMS work.
There is a write-up on the Wiki on how to shrink it. Actually, it's just you create one file, run one command, and you good to go. Okay. Wiki. Whether you on Linux or on Windows doesn't matter, that step is the same. So here's the wiki for the project. And LLM Linux, LLM Windows. Let's assume you're on Windows. But regardless, how to do it. You can take tool 3, 8B. It will be 6 GB. And it works. You can quantize it, and the way you do it is you create a file and put it anywhere on your drive, and you put from the name of the LLM that you're using, and you put these parameters. I do explain what these parameters
725 Sai says, I have both.
Oh, you have both. All right. And I'll finish explanation for anyone else who might be watching but not chatting. And then you just run the command llama create the name of the new LLM -f, that means file, and the path to where this file is. The numctx is garbage in, numpredict is garbage out. Actually set this number for smaller. The larger numpredict is, the more it's going to spew out. So if you set it to 200, it will be very short. Very, very short. I'm using it right now at 200 for commands and 512 for queries, but that's actually this version of application. In the client already says these parameters, so you don't really need this. I'll need to check my setup for Llama configuration to make sure that I can... I'll probably have it at once, a single user, single shot. I might need to set this to 2 because otherwise... Otherwise 2 queries come in at the same time and mess shit up. That's probably the case, so I might need to set this one to 2. So the 2 queries can come, 2 prompts can come in at the same time. Cache, Q8 seems to be okay. Context length, actually that might need to go higher. And Llama Max VRAM, this is how much memory you have. This is how much memory you want to allocate for Llama. So if your GPU is 12 GB, then you would allocate on half of that for the GPU. If you're running on a single GPU. And I'm going to add another line into this table with the qwen3.5 I'm still learning shit about LLMs and how they work, how to run them. It's all about. When I started this project in November, I didn't know shit about LLMs at all, and I'm still learning. It'll be some time until I can say that I actually know something about it. I'm not a specialist. But at any rate, so this is going out tonight when Frontier closes for the week for the background simulation calculation. This version will be out. If you're already running one, then next time you start the app tomorrow, it will prompt you that there is an update. And if you're not running it, the installers will be updated by tomorrow morning to version 3.01, the one that I'm looking at right now. It's dinner time, 7:26 p.m. Gotta go eat because I'm starving and my head hurts like crazy. Thank you for hanging out with me, guys. Here's the update for this week. I'll probably do one stream a week just to show what is being updated, what the project status is. And have a wonderful weekend. If you want to hang out with me, I also stream on Twitch when I'm not streaming on YouTube. Come, talk, socialize, chat. Always glad to see you. But for now, good night.
"725 Psi says you too. Have a great week."